Hello everyone, and here is another random idea I've got that I've been wanting to do really, and that is comparing not these two fans specifically, but more the type of grills they have. Comparing a metal grill, like what this Thermare has, versus a plastic grill, like what this Vortis has. And I want to detail the goods and bads about both and which one I prefer and what not. Now, these might seem like odd choices to represent each one. I'll be countering in my experiences with both of these grills, as well as including like different ages of fans with so what grills were like of both materials from different timelines. So these two fans are quite different in terms of age. I picked Vortis simply because the grill is actually still in very good condition, so I thought it would be a good representation. And I solely put this in because I promised Lucas Allen I would film Thermare with its grill on, and I've completely forgotten to do that, so I apologise for that. So I'll do it here now because I thought I'll do a 2-in-1 special type thing, I guess. Obviously, a metal and plastic grill, you can obviously tell differences. You can see the plastic in it. And you can see how metallic this is. But you can hear it as well. One thing, obviously the material is different and it will perform differently. From my experience overall, I guess we could address a disadvantage about the metal grill, which is the fact that metal grills can bend. That didn't sound good. It'll be fine. You can see, a little bit bent there. Metal grills can bend. These grills can bend out of place. And it can actually get so bad that the blades start catching against the grills. This especially is an issue on like bigger 16-inch fans, because this is the most common place for issues. Like old brass 16-inch fans can commonly have this issue. Like grills can bend out of place and it can get so bad they start catching against the blades. I'm pretty sure Freezer had that issue once, not really anymore. The Limit I had also had that issue. Plastic grills don't have this problem. These grills don't bend out of place. They're not as bendable as metal grills. And luckily, bending out of place is something that never happens on these. That is an advantage to it. These grills don't bend out of place. The only way the blades will catch against a grill is if like the blades are too big for the grill. Other than that, it will not catch if it's the right size. But this could lead on to a disadvantage that these grills are easier, plastic grills overall are easier to break than metal grills. Not saying all, because from my experience, the grills used, the plastic grills on the Fisher-Price like kids fans are surprisingly strong. Those plastic grills are strong, and those things can take a beating. But I could just be the material type of plastic, because compare it to the Electrostar, those grills are so brittle. Just picking one up is enough to break off one of the segments. I'm not kidding, because that happened once. They're so fragile. But yeah, they go brittle as well. Like, not only can they break, a metal grill can also break, don't get me wrong, but it's much harder to break a metal grill than a plastic grill overall. But you can get very strong plastic grills and very weak metal grills. But like as I said, plastic grills go brittle. That's not really an issue with metal. Metal grills don't go brittle. They don't. Have you ever seen metal grills go brittle, like break off easy? No, you haven't. This is an issue with plastic. The Electrostar were really infamous for that. The smaller 8-inch ones, no problem, but the 12-inch ones, oh, they suffered so badly from it. Don't know why. But this can lead on to like another advantage for this and a disadvantage for this. Plastic grills don't rust. You can't get rust on these, which is really nice. Rust is removable, but it's a right pain to remove. This fan, it has a little bit, but nothing huge. You can see it does have a bit of rust, but not like a huge amount of rust. But rust is a common issue, especially on like older fans with metal grills. It's a common issue. Plastic grills don't rust because plastic doesn't rust, obviously. I don't know about the cost. It depends on the material, like the type of it. I would assume plastic is cheaper overall, but I'm not sure. Because again, metals like aluminium exist, which is very common. Because aluminium is a cheap metal to work with. You'd rather use that than like brass or stainless steel, which would cost a lot more. Even titanium probably is a firm that uses it. I don't know. I'm not a metal expert. I'm not a plastic expert either. Luckily this one can actually bend and take quite a beating, this grill. I'm not sure if it's because this one hasn't gone brittle yet, or if these are generally surprisingly strong plastic grills. I don't know. I'm thinking these are actually surprisingly strong plastic grills. If I had to give my personal preference, I like a metal grill more. I do. I just think it's just better overall than a plastic grill. Plastic grills are better suited more for smaller fans. They're more common, at least in the UK, because in the US you can get bigger 12-inch fans with plastic grills all the time, even 16-inch ones, which I think is ridiculous. But for smaller fans, like 7-inch and 6-inch fans, like this small little 7-inch fan, sold by GET, you'll notice that it has a back plastic grill, but the front grill is metal. This is very common on like these smaller fans, where the back grill is a plastic. Yeah, it's always been like really common. Metal grills have been around longer. They've been around since the 1890s, I think. I don't recall any fans from the 1880s having grills, but there might be one. And plastic grills, I think, have been around since maybe the 1960s. I don't know when the Pifco spinners first came into production, because they used back plastic grills. The Mistral Gyrowares and Electrostars used them in the 70s, but I think they might have existed in the 60s. I am not entirely sure. For the sake of also showcasing this fan, I'll run it on high. Showcase it, we'll run away its grill. Because I've had this fan for years and it's fine. It's taking this long to get a front grill for it. Now, if you were to take every fan ever built with a metal grill and every fan ever built with a plastic grill and measure the restrictiveness of all of them, I think the average, the plastic grill would be more restrictive. But I only think that's due to the fact plastic grills haven't been around as long as metal grills, because these older fans were a lot more open. Plastic grills didn't really exist at that time. Because over time, grills have been getting more and more restrictive on fans over the years. Like you can see 50s, you can still easily touch the blade or whatnot. Much harder to do it on an 80s fan. Times have changed, haven't they? When a grill is bent, is obviously when these break, you can repair it, and when these bend, you can repair it. Absolutely. From my experiences, the bending is easier to repair. Breaking, it requires super glue to get it back together, and it can be a right pain if you don't have. One I like is the brush super glue. It makes gluing stuff back together really easy. I like that, but from my experience overall, bending can be easier. You just need a decent amount of force. That's all you need. Whereas with gluing back together a broken plastic grill, you need precision, which I think is it harder to get than just using a lot of strength? Not sure, but one thing I will say: bending a metal grill like properly, perfectly back is difficult to do. Bending it back into the gyro shape where it's usable enough, that's easy. But bending it into like the perfect shape it used to be is really hard, if I'm being honest. Actually, I should also address it, disassembly. The problem is so many manufacturers use so many different ways. You typically use on like more metal ones, you would use like maybe screws or like some clips that you just like pop out and the grill comes off. That's what you commonly use for metal ones. Plastic ones use different forms. You usually use like external clips like this and whatnot. From my experience, typically metal grills are easier to remove. Simply, they do use easier ways So you have that little bonus, but that's from my experience. Because a lot of metal grills like that are right pain to remove. I'm talking about the Calors. Those grills are a nightmare to take off. I don't like them. Don't like taking those grills off. They're just a right pain, aren't they? I think overall, the best one is, I think the metal grills are better overall, but that doesn't mean they're perfect. Plastic grills do have their advantages as well. I think it depends on the environment as well. If you're in an environment where a lot of sunlight's being used, there's a lot of sunlight being like projected onto it and a lot of UV light, metal grills are a much better choice than plastic grills, simply because plastic grills will just go brittle. But if you're in a situation where you're in like a damp, cold environment a lot, then a plastic grill might be a better choice, because a metal grill will get very rusty, and I don't think health and safety people like that. Rusty grills, I'm not sure which one they'll dislike more, rusty grills or brittle plastic grill. Probably rusty metal grills more. Both are annoying to deal with, if I'm being honest. I mean, at least in a rusty one's case, it is somewhat reversible, whereas like brittle grills are not reversible. You can't reverse the brittleness. You can replace them if they ever go brittle, but you can't really reverse the brittleness. You can reverse the rust, but it's not easy. Although I'm not an expert in doing that. Thought I'd end the video with the two fans running. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and see ya!